We're lost. Really lost.
Okay. I didn't go to the movies to see this one, and I usually don't do streaming shows reviews. But I had to do this one because it was Star Wars, and I had to see it on the biggest screen possible. This guy. So I'm a huge Star Wars fan, but I've got to tell you, I'm kind of getting Star Wars fatigue with all these movies and series that are bad to average. Some are pretty good, like The Mandalorian, but the majority are kind of a letdown. I remember the time between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. There was time to savor and enjoy that movie. Getting to play with your Star Wars action figures, waiting for Return of the Jedi to come out. Now we're getting a Star Wars something once every 6 months, it feels like. Star Wars has become a cash grab for Disney, and Star Wars and its fans, I feel, are suffering. But what about this new Skeleton Crew? Goonies and Star Wars combined. Are they running out of ideas here, or is this actually pretty brilliant? So Star Wars Skeleton Crew is the new Star Wars series on Disney+, set in the Star Wars universe, of course, created by John Watts and Christopher Ford. The show is centered around a group of young kids who find a pirate starship, underground and find a way to get lost in deep space after their ship is damaged. The series takes place around the same time as The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, post-Empire but before the rise of the First Order. The main characters are a group of kids, including a young boy named Jude, who finds himself stranded far from his home with the other characters. They have to navigate the dangerous and unknown parts of the galaxy while encountering various perilous situations, alien species, and unexpected allies. The show blends elements of adventure, survival, and coming-of-age storytelling as these kids try to find their way back, all the while discovering more about the larger Star Wars universe. The show has a mix of humor, excitement, and heart. Similar to the tone of E.T. or The Goonies, it relies on an 80s nostalgia of the kid-led movies that we used to love, if you're in that Generation X bracket. The series also promises to explore new corners of the galaxy, showcasing different aspects of the Star Wars world that haven't been fully explored in other shows or films. Skeleton Crew, as of right now, is the Goonies in space. You have the Mikey character, who is Wim, who instead of pirates is obsessed with Jedi. Fern, who kind of reminds me of a kid-girl version of Han Solo. KB, who is the techie, and Neil, who's a cross between Chunk from the Goonies
Do the truffle shuffle. Come on! Do it!
in the Simpsons Millhouse, who's the blue elephant-type alien guy. He's also Wim's best friend. There's also a robot pirate with one eye that a space mouse lives in called SM-33, played by Nick Frost. Who doesn't love Nick Frost? This pirate robot is sort of a Goonies living one-eyed Willy, crossed between him and Sloth, I guess? All the kids have very different personalities, like you would see in Stranger Things or any of these kid-led movies or shows. It's an interesting concept that really goes nostalgia freaky, and freaks like me enjoy it. Growing up as a kid in the 80s and 90s, I was a huge fan of movies like The Goonies and The Explorers, The Sandlot, E.T., and all of these movies where you hardly saw any parents, and all of the adults were immediately untrustworthy. The kids had to rely on each other to get back home or through whatever adventure they stumbled upon. These movies worked because there was an element of adult humor and kid-friendly entertainment, with a lot of wonder and imagination and a bond between all these different kinds of kid personalities who wouldn't necessarily get along in the real world. But the adventure brings them together. Cool kids, nerdy kids, smart kids, dumb kids. Everyone cared about each other at the end because of what they went through. That's why Stranger Things was a huge hit. That and the 80s nostalgia. Skeleton Crew goes in the same direction, catering to the adults who grew up on that genre and to the kids who want to watch a Star Wars kids show. It does have some pretty intense scenes, so it may freak some younger kids out. The Goonies went that same direction back in the 80s. Lots of intense adult scenes in a relatively kids' adventure. Same with E.T. Spielberg actually changed a few scenes from the original E.T. movie for video to make it more kid-friendly. To me, that was a huge mistake because we Gen Xers handled it just fine. The show starts on the kids' homeworld of Aten. It looks like the suburbs that you see in E.T. Even the houses look like a space-aged version of that neighborhood, with the houses on a hill looking over other neighborhoods. They have 4-car garages and kids riding speeder bikes with tassels hanging down on the handles. It's a really boring planet where the kids go to school, parents go to work, and nothing much else happens. It's a cool contrast to where the kids go once they find the deserted ship. The ship has a lot of pirate references that you would expect for when the Goonies found One-Eyed Willie's pirate ship. Found Gold Republic credits, lots of skeleton pirates on board, and pirate hats that look like real pirate hats but slightly Star Wars altered. The kids accidentally start the ship and it heads to space and then does a hyperspace jump, leaving the kids lost in space, not knowing how to get home. With the help of the pirate robot, they reach a pirate spaceport, kind of like Tortuga and the Pirates of the Caribbean. Then the episode ends with the kids finding Jude Law's character, who wants to help them find the way home, but you don't know if you can trust this guy yet. This show so far has a lot going for it. So far, I like all of the characters, which is rare. The time on their home planet was a little dry for me, but as soon as the ship takes off, I had a lot of fun. One thing that bothered me was when characters would use words like garage door or lunch money. When the characters would use these words or phrases that we use every day that you wouldn't expect the Star Wars universe to have, it felt a little weird. George Lucas was always great about naming everyday items something different just for Star Wars and the universe it's in. I also thought it was trying way too hard to be a Space Goonies. It wasn't subtle at all, but maybe that's the point, to have fun with this type of 80s genre. I mean, even the show's poster screams E.T. with the moon and the kids. Maybe that's the fun of it all, who knows? We're only 2 episodes in. Can they keep up the momentum and have a huge payoff to the mysteries and secrets that they're teasing, like they're dangling a Star Wars mythological carrot in front of us? I mean, I really hope so, because Disney is starting to have that reputation of snubbing Star Wars fans, especially the older ones who grew up on the original trilogy. The cast so far is pretty good and fun to watch. I love the pirate robot, and Jaleel White is in this show, the guy who played Urkel on Family Matters. I'm really interested to see what his role is in this whole thing, or is if he was just in episode 2. I'm really looking forward to Jude Law's character. I've always been a huge fan of his, and I'm hoping that they don't give us the Carrie Ann Moss treatment like they did in The Acolyte. That was really jacked up. The special effects are good for a TV show. Some scenes you could tell that they are using that immersive studio with the screen featuring the Unreal Engine technology that they started using in The Mandalorian. For a TV show, I don't mind it. It works really well for a show that doesn't have that movie budget. And honestly, if it wasn't for this technology, we wouldn't have these shows. I enjoyed these 2 episodes. It didn't blow my 8-year-old Empire Strikes Back fanboy brain away like the movie did, but it was fun. I didn't love it like I love the Goonies, but so far it's a pretty fun adventure if you don't take it too Star Wars seriously. It has a lot of potential. I enjoyed the second episode more than the first. You can tell that they have 2 very different directors on each episode. The first episode is directed by John Watts, who directed the newest Spider-Man trilogy, and the second by David Lowery, and he directs films like The Green Knight and A Ghost Story. 2 very, very different styles. And there's the hope, I think. You have upcoming directors that look promising attached to this show, like the Daniels, Dallas Bryce Howard, and Lee Isaac Chung, who just did the Twister sequel. That's a pretty solid lineup. And most of these directors wouldn't sign on if they didn't believe in the actual script. So I want to know what your thoughts are of Skeleton Crew. Does it have a chance, or are you kind of like me and you're getting a little Star Wars fatigued and very, very skeptical? It's hard because when you start watching these, you're expecting them to fail. And that could be a really bad thing, or maybe a good thing when it turns out really good. Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Of course, thank you for watching. I'm about to go check out the A24 film Y2K at the Alamo Theater that comes out this weekend. So come back and see what I thought of that one. Should be pretty interesting. I love a good A24 flick. So I'll see you then.
I don't know where you get your delusions, laser brain.